So today I'm going to show you a simple recipe for making a white loaf with a little bit extra. So I'm using fairly cheap supermarket flour and a little bit of extra high quality flour, Dove Farms spelt. I'm going to make a mixture of that. That gives a great deal of flavour and softness to the bread. I've got all my ingredients here: water, sugar. Now I'm using a little less than the recipe would normally call for. I don't like the bread too sweet. Salt, and then yeast. These two things are what will give you added nutrition. So I've got some sesame seeds and then some mixed seeds. Again, these are just from a supermarket that we all know. Every little helps, right? So whenever you're using a bread maker like this, I'm using the Panasonic 2540. Brilliant bread maker, by the way. Liquid's got to go in first. So I'm going to measure out, and I'm just double checking on the recipe. I know the numbers, but anyway. 280 ml of water. I've got my scale zeroed here, so that's going straight in. Now I'm using room temperature. A lot of people would make it a little bit warmer, tepid. 280 on the nose. That's the water. Any other liquid or semi-liquid stuff goes in next. So the butter's quite soft, so I'm putting that in next. Make sure it goes in without hitting the sides. That's good. You can use other things such as oil if you prefer. Purely up to you. Then I'm going to put in the seeds. Now you can put seeds in the top, at the bottom here, wherever you want. They're going to get mixed up quite well. So I'm going to put half now and then half in the flour so they kind of get distributed. So we've got about half and about half. I'm only using 10 grams of each, by the way. Then the sugar goes in and the salt. And the yeast actually goes into a special slot in the Panasonic Breadmaker. You can just put this in on top of the flour later. What I'm going to do now is put the flour in. So I'm just going to zero that out. And I'm going to put in 100 grams of spelt and then 300 grams of plain strong bread white flour. Bread flour, I beg your pardon. Strong bread flour. Very cheap to make this loaf, by the way. Exactly 100 grams. Now I need exactly 300 grams. Exactly 400 grams in total. Tidy that away later. So I'm going to pop this in here. So that's the rest of the seeds. You can put other flavourings, but this will give you some good nutrition and some extra taste. Now the yeast, in this case, I'm just going to put it on top of the flour. It's fine. You could put it in the slot in the Panasonic. I'm not honestly sure if it makes a difference. For some recipes maybe, but for this one, which I'm happy with, I'm quite fine with putting it on the top. I'm just making a little indentation. So the yeast is on top and none of it will get mixed in until the entire thing, gets mixed in the Panasonic. I'm going to take it over to the machine, set it going. In 4 hours, I'll take out the loaf and show you what the loaf looks like. I've allowed the bread to cool down a couple of hours now. Apologies for the lighting. It's evening now. Really feels great. Smells great. So what I'm going to do is take a slice, have a taste. Let's just position this over here. So I've got this special, it's a saw really for cutting bread, but it makes a good slice anyway. So let's have a look. And I'm going to take a reasonable size slice and try that. So first things first, hopefully you can see the crumb. This is the bit in here that we call the crumb. Looks good to me. And I'm going to put some butter, have a taste, see what it's like. And this should taste delicious. So let's just butter that up. And then we're going to have a little bite and see what it's like. Now, if you remember at the beginning, I showed you the kind of things I put in here. We've got the sesame seeds, we've got the mixed seeds, all that good stuff. Let's have a taste. The crust is delicious. The crumb The inside part. That is really nice. Healthier than a standard basic white loaf. Tasty, easy to make, and cheap. Compared to a store-bought loaf, this is much healthier for you. Oh my God. I'm going to have another slice with a cup of tea.